If you're new to my channel and would like to watch videos all about TV shows from the 90s and 2000s, subscribe for new videos every Thursday. Let's start off with Arnold's signature look. Arnold's most distinctive feature is his unique football-shaped head. He had blonde hair that resembled the leaves of a palm tree, and on the middle of his head sat a little blue cap. He wore a teal shirt with a long red plaid shirt underneath, blue pants, and black shoes. Arnold Shortman is the protagonist of the Nickelodeon classic Hey Arnold. This slice of life show revolves around the adventures of the daydreaming fourth grader and those around him. A common storyline features Arnold helping another character in some way. Arnold is thus portrayed as a good-natured, proactive kid who was there for others when they needed him. Throughout the series, he helped his friends and even adults through their problems. There was never a problem too big for Arnold to solve.
Yahoo! Ain't nothing to it but to do it.
Curly, why are you doing this?
Because I was supposed to be ball monitor. I can show you my calendar.
Look, if you really think you're supposed to be ball monitor, then let's talk to Mr. Simmons about it.
He always believed in his ability to help and was persistent in the face of negativity. He got Stoop Kid to leave his stoop, he cured Chocolate Boy of his chocolate addiction.
You can be happy.
I can't be happy.
You don't need chocolate.
I don't need chocolate.
You're free.
I'm free. I'm free. Free chocolate.
And he taught 13-year-old Torvald math in a way that made sense to him for the first time in his life. But Arnold's persistence sometimes proved to be a double-edged sword. It was good because when he was faced with trying to help someone through a difficult situation, he was able to push through and solve the problem. But it was also a drawback of his when it came to situations where he needed to quit. For example, after Arnold's crush Lila repeatedly rejected him, he was still persistent in his hope that one day she would come around. Generally, Arnold was level-headed and was the voice of reason for his friends. For instance, he advised Helga to be a good sister and not let Olga marry a conman in the episode Olga Gets Engaged.
Olga's always gotta be so perfect.
It's just that if you have a sister and she's in trouble, you're supposed to do something about it.
Arnold was a character who truly valued his friendships. He was loyal to them, and if he ever made a mistake, he felt obligated to do whatever he could to make the situation better.
It's beautiful.
Thanks.
It is kind of nice, isn't it?
Nice?
Heck, it's better than ever.
Arnold was also very confident and heroic. He once saved Sid from a falling board, causing his friend to become obsessively grateful to him. The football-headed fourth grader lived by a strong sense of morality, which caused him to always stand up for what he thought was right.
Rhonda's right. Nobody should make anybody else feel bad about who they are or how they look. I say we get rid of the geek seats and let everybody sit where they want.
Arnold had an infectious, optimistic nature that allowed him to see the potential in people that others didn't see. For example, he chose Dino Spumoni to sing for the school dance when his peers had reservations about his unusual choice. Arnold was also optimistic about life in general and tried to share his perspective on the world with those who didn't share it. Arnold did this when he met the faces behind the urban legends of both Monkey Man and Pigeon Man. Arnold also had a knack for helping people see themselves for who they truly were during times of uncertainty. He did this with Rhonda when she struggled to see her worth after her family became poor in Rhonda Goes Broke.
Listen to yourself. Pathetic. I mean, just because you're not rich anymore doesn't mean you're a different person. You were Rhonda when you had money, and you could still be the same Rhonda now that you don't. Unless being rich is all you're about.
He also reassured Mr. Simmons that he was an amazing principal when he was doubting himself during the episode A Day in the Life of a Classroom. Arnold's love for life also made him a very adventurous character. He, along with his classmates, would frequently go on adventures to uncover the truth behind urban legends. Aside from Arnold's more outgoing characteristics, he had a bit of a quiet and mysterious quality to him.
See, you, Arnold, have made the cool list.
How'd I do that?
I don't know, I guess it's your moodiness, that brooding air of mystery you have, Arnold.
We really saw this side of Arnold when he was alone in his bedroom. Through these scenes, we were able to connect to Arnold's inner world without any words being said. These peaceful lulls were true to the slice of life genre of the show. Sometimes life has these moments where we find ourselves alone, just like Arnold. Judging from his characteristics, on the surface Arnold looked like an all-around perfect character, but I think that's actually a problem with his character. He doesn't really evolve like others on the show. He didn't go through any profound learning experience or improve on any flaws because he wasn't shown to really have any. There was little room for him to improve. Instead, the entire series is about Arnold, who comes up with all the answers to further everyone else's development. But Arnold did have a few flaws.
No, just a darn minute!
The episode Deconstructing Arnold revealed one of them. He was constantly giving advice to his friends. Arnold did prove to be a little too intrusive to the lives of others, especially when no one asked him for help. For example, in the episode Arnold as Cupid, he took it upon himself to try to help Oscar and Susie get back together. They didn't ask him for help though, he was just tired of Oscar living in his bedroom. Another one of Arnold's flaws was how although he was really good at standing up for others, he wasn't very good at standing up for himself. For example, in the episode Oscar Gets a Job, Oscar takes advantage of Arnold by getting him to deliver his newspapers for him. He also rarely stood up for himself when Helga bullied him. While Arnold had a strong moral compass, he wasn't good at staying true to his values when pressured. For example, in the show's premiere, Downtown as Fruits, Gerald persuades Arnold to skip out on performing in Helga's play against his better judgment.
No, we couldn't do that. It would ruin the play.
Gerald again sways Arnold in the episode Hooky when they skipped school. And again, in New Teacher, Arnold joins his classmates when mocking their new teacher, Mr. Simmons. This shows how sometimes Arnold valued being agreeable with his peers more than staying true to himself. I think much of Arnold's character was due to his parents and grandparents. While Arnold wasn't raised by his parents, he seemed to have inherited their fearlessness, compassionate nature, and knack for problem solving. Arnold was raised by his grandparents, Phil and Gertie, ever since he was a baby. They were full of life and helped instill in him the values and morals that guided him throughout the show. Whenever Arnold was stuck, he consulted their wisdom to help come to a solution.
I wish I knew what to tell you. In 80 years, I think I've only learned one thing for sure.
What's that?
Never eat raspberries. Gotta go.
Arnold, of course, was there to support his grandparents as well. For example, in the episode Back to School, Arnold helps his grandfather earn his grade school diploma. Arnold's grandparents were such great guardians that he seldom expressed the pain of not having his parents in his life. However, when he was reminded of his parents, you could see how deeply sad he was about their absence. During the season 5 episode Parents' Day, it was revealed that Arnold didn't know if his parents were alive or not. This means for the majority of the series, Arnold carried this tragic unsolved mystery with him. Luckily, by the end of the episode, Arnold's optimistic nature found hope that his parents might still be alive.
What about your plane?
It was never found.
So, they could just be lost. And maybe someday, they might come back.
And after the episode The Journal, Arnold has even more to be excited about. Arnold's desire to be reunited with his parents is the main driving force behind the Jungle movie. By the end of it, his dream comes true. In addition to Arnold's character being influenced by his parents and grandparents, I think him being an only child is another reason why he was portrayed the way he was. He didn't have any siblings to rely on, so he had to learn to depend on himself a bit more than other children his own age. I think this is why he seemed a little more mature than his peers, and why he was able to help those around him of all ages. Arnold's family consisted of not only his grandparents, but also the boarders whom he lived with. Arnold helped the boarders just like he helped everyone else in his life. Arnold cared for his unorthodox family as if they were his biological family, and they felt the same way about him too. While Arnold's unique family helped to keep his life interesting, sometimes all he wanted was a quote-unquote normal family. In the episode Arnold's Thanksgiving, Arnold gets fed up with his family and thinks the proverbial grass is greener on the other side. But he quickly finds out how other families also have their own struggles, and there is truly no such thing as a normal family. The episode ends with Arnold going away from the experience, being thankful for the family he has. One of the major plot lines of Hey Arnold was Arnold's relationship with Helga. Helga constantly bullied Arnold, which made him believe that she hated him.
Helga's always picking on you in particular, Arnold. I don't know why. I just try to ignore her.
But in reality, she was obsessed with him. Ever since that day in preschool when he was the only one who ever showed Helga kindness, she was hooked. While Arnold never explicitly said that he knew how Helga felt, there were little hints here and there that showed Arnold might have known. He may have even liked her back. During the Jungle movie, Arnold reveals how after the Hey Arnold movie, where Helga confesses her love for him, but then takes it back, he had a feeling that she was initially telling the truth. But he just didn't want to believe it, so he ignored it. By the end of the Jungle movie, after Helga helps Arnold rescue his parents, Arnold and Helga became a couple. Arnold's first love interest in the show was actually a 6th grader named Ruth. He apparently liked her because
Once, I saw you give up your seat on the bus to an old lady carrying a watermelon.
he ends up going on a date with her, only to realize that she is nothing like he thought she was and loses interest. And then there was Lila. Arnold's journey with her reminds me of the saying, "You only want what you can't have." When Arnold had her affection, he didn't like her. Then suddenly he didn't have her and he wanted her back. Lila became Arnold's object of affection from the season 3 episode Arnold and Lila until the season 5 episode Timberly Loves Arnold. And while he tried and tried to get Lila to change her mind, it just didn't work. Arnold served as the voice of reason for others, but when it came to this situation, he just couldn't accept reality. To add insult to injury, Lila fell in love at first sight with Arnold's boring cousin Arnie. This awkward twist leaves Arnold reeling with jealousy as he tries to process what happened.
I mean, you're no Dapper Dan, but you sure are better looking than Arnie. And you're sure a lot more fun to talk to, but she just likes him better. Look at her glow.
Stinky, shut up.
With both Ruth and Lila, Arnold was infatuated with girls who didn't like him back. He put both girls on pedestals. He saw them as perfect. Arnold came up with images in his mind of how Ruth and Lila were, and when they didn't live up to his expectation, I think it added to the disappointment he felt when the relationships with them didn't happen. Arnold's best friend Gerald was more realistic than him when it came to girls. Whenever Gerald thought Arnold had a chance, he was right there giving him advice.
Hey, you set one beautiful table, my fair señorita.
But if he thought it wasn't going to work, Gerald was quick to point that out. Their friendship actually started all the way back to preschool. Arnold supported Gerald through his problems, and Gerald tried to pull Arnold back when he got too ahead of himself. Other than helping people all day, Arnold was a typical kid in his class. He played sports like football, basketball, and seemed to have a special interest in baseball. He liked listening to jazz music and played the harmonica too.
They say he lost his mind when crazy young that day ran his train right off the tracks.
He had a pet pig named Abner, which was like a member of his family. His love for animals is also apparent from the episode Field Trip, when Arnold's sympathy for a neglected turtle at an aquarium led him to set it free. In conclusion, the star of Hey Arnold was an extraordinary force of good in his community, but at the same time, he was still a 9-year-old kid. His determination and unwavering optimism led him through many exciting adventures, but when life slowed down, he internally struggled with the disappearance of his parents, his unusual family, staying true to his values, and his feelings for girls. Arnold was sometimes unwilling to accept the truth, but when he did, it worked out in his favor. Through Arnold, we learned what happens if we have an open mind. It can allow you to see everything from yourself to those around you, and just life in general for its possibilities and not its limits. But of course, without a healthy dose of realism mixed in with this perspective, you might get a little...
1, 2, 3, watch me! Hey!
that, we are now at the end of my Hey Arnold character analysis video of Arnold. What do you think of Arnold?
We're famous! My love has done it again! We're special! We're unique! We're one of a kind! Oh joy! Oh rapture! Oh ecstasy!
What was your all-time favorite Arnold moment? Let me know in the comments down below. If you liked this video, I'd appreciate it if you could give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok at dialupdigest. Until next time, my friends, dialing out.